I want to bring in the current vice chairman of the House Republican Conference, North Carolina Congressman Mark Walker. Congressman, thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Patrick. Glad to be here.
All right. Well, the president, as we all know, wanted $5.7 billion for the wall. Congress is approving only about $1.4 billion for 55 miles of barrier. There's a 72-hour rule in situations like this and legislation like this to allow everyone the ability to read it. Is that deal finalized? Have you seen the deal?
I have not seen a single sentence in the text at this point, and unlike Nancy Pelosi, I don't vote for things that I don't get a chance to look through. And the 72-hour rule, I think the Dems play a little bit of funny business with it. As long as they get it in by midnight, they like to call it 3 days if it's Friday morning. So even then, the bill we know of right now is already 1,000 pages. Most of my conservative friends, we can't vote and support something. I think it was the Speaker Pelosi said you got to pass it to see what's in it. We don't hold to that line of thinking.
Well, and that leads to my next question. Your colleagues, many of whom, who are in the House Freedom Caucus, have introduced a one-week interim spending bill to give members more time to consider this security package. So what have you heard about this option? Have you talked to some of those guys? Is this a possibility?
Yes. We work with them every day. In fact, you're speaking of Andy Biggs from Arizona, who is pushing that through. I've talked with Mark Meadows and Jim Jordan as well. If we don't have adequate time to look through this bill where we have a little 3 or 4 days, there are portions of it, and I've been in Washington for 4 years. Sometimes a paragraph can change the whole tenor or structure of a specific piece of legislation, and that's when you have the staff writing it behind the scenes. And to force this through, that's one of the reasons that I voted against the omnibus and the spending bills that we had. The last one we had was 2,000 pages, and we had a little over 30 hours to look through that. We just can't support that, and I would support whether it's a CR or something else, maybe a move by the president that would allow us the time to make sure that the American people aren't getting duped.
Okay. Well, Congressman, let me ask you this. If this deal is considered a down payment, as we heard Senator Richard Shelby say yesterday, a down payment of sorts for the wall, when would the payoff occur? Is there any conversation as to what the follow-up plan would be if the president signs this?
See, Patrick, you've just nailed and got to the heart of the matter. We're hearing the same thing. I've heard Senator Shelby talk about that, and Tom Graves and some of the other members that were on this select committee calling it a down payment. Well, where I come from in North Carolina, a down payment means there's more payments to follow. I want to make sure that that's tangible, and that is something because, as we know, sometimes Washington is full of promises. Congress has been promising to secure the border for 30 years. It hasn't happened. I want to make sure those numbers are hard, fast. They're not just authorized, but there's a way to appropriate those numbers as well.
Okay, and last question on this. I mean, Congressman, obviously we're just 2.5 days before another possible government shutdown. It's very important. But one more question on it. The White House talked about this morning, what's being called alternative administrative funding to pay for the wall. If the president were to sign this bill that does not provide what he wants for the walls, meaning he could reallocate some and move some money around. You sit on the Committee on Homeland Security. In your view, is it worth pulling money from other military projects, such as military base construction, to then pay for the wall? What are your thoughts there?
It's a tough question, but one that I would have to lean down on the side of yes. I know that money. Mac Thornberry, who was the chairman of the Armed Forces Committee, is very concerned because under the 8 years of the Obama administration, the military and defense spending went down, leaving in some cases half our aircraft that were even inoperable. So that money is allocated, but if we truly believe that this is the border crisis that it is when it comes to smuggling, when it comes to trafficking, when it comes to protecting the American people, we must do everything within the constitutional powers that we have been given through Article 1 to accomplish this. I've talked with Mick Mulvaney, the Chief of Staff, the former OMB director. He knows what he's talking about when he says looking for other and additional funding. We believe that could be the way that we need to go.
Okay. Congressman, I want to switch gears here. I know you just came from the House floor, and,
Sure.
And for the fifth time, I believe I'm right, and correct me if I'm wrong, for the fifth time in 5 days, Democrats have blocked a request to vote on a bill that would stop infanticide. I know you're working very hard for what's called the Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act. Yes. I do want to play a quick soundbite for our viewers from you yesterday when you pushed for a vote on the House floor, and then get your thoughts.
Sure.
Take a listen.
This unanimous consent request cannot be entertained. I urge the Speaker and the Majority Leader to immediately schedule the Born Alive bill so we can stand up and protect the sanctity of human life.
The gentleman has not been recognized for debate.
All right. Congressman, that gavel came down pretty hard yesterday. Walk us through the reaction that we see from Democrats on this.
Yeah, it's interesting because the bottom line is the Democrats do not want to vote on this bill. We were able to get it through the House this past cycle. I believe there were 3 Democrats that actually supported the bill. I actually went back to my desk and wrote him a thank you card for having the courage to stand up for something that over 80–85% of the American people would look as common sense. If a baby survives a botched abortion, it's a shame, Patrick, that we even have to make a law that doctors or providers would have to help sustain its life as opposed to just let it starve itself or cry itself to death. This is ridiculous. We've seen New York now match North Korea, their level of abortion laws. We saw the governor, Ralph Northam, this past 2 weeks ago, begin to talk about where he felt like these laws were going. This is a travesty and a black mark on the United States of America, and the fact that they will not allow this up for a vote shows and reveals the true colors of many of the Democratic leaders.
All right. Finally, Congressman, what's next with this? Are you confident that there will be a vote? I know that there's a petition floating around to continue this effort. Am I right?
There is. It's called, yes, Patrick, brilliant stuff tonight. This is called a discharge petition, and it ripens in 30 days. So this is day 5 of 30 days, 25 days left to go. If we make it to the 30 days, then we can push something to the floor, but we're going to need a handful of Democrats, maybe 15 to 17 Democrats, go along with us and support us. We hope that we can find those out there who are willing to stand up and be courageous when it comes to life.
All right, and all the while keeping the government open and running and creating the border security that's needed. As always, Congressman Walker, we appreciate your time, sir.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.